Hi, ILY. It's skycat.live. And I'm hoarse because I sang for 6 hours on stream yesterday for my Twitch crowd. And so I'm sorry, I'm very hoarse today because I did sing for 6 hours and, or 5 hours, whatever it was. And, yeah. And so, here we are today. It is 11/29/23. We're getting towards the end of the year 2023, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, yeah, it is Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. It's a good time to be alive. I will not be doing much talking today as I am obviously hoarse, but I do have a lot on my mind, so I will speak about such in terms of the video games. Tomorrow is a big day for a lot of reasons. It being 11/29, tomorrow is a big day in the gaming world. One of the biggest games, one of the biggest days in the gaming. Okay, I've been doing this for 27 years, and this is one of the biggest days I've ever had before, because World of Warcraft Classic goes live tomorrow. Classic Plus, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me, Season of Discovery. But everybody thinks that it's Classic Plus is what they're actually doing. So we're gonna go with what the streamers think. And that in and of itself is a monumental day for MMO gaming in general. Season of Discovery is a monumental day for MMOs in general. And that's the first thing. And then I am happy because I was able to return to hardcore. I didn't think I was going to have the ability to, but I found the cusp pod to start again, and it's an addictive thing. But I'm definitely not going to AFK monuments, and I'm definitely not going to forget that I have Vanish. It's just it has been 8 years since I played a rogue, and I'm not used to being able to drop combat in any game, really. You know, just like drop the mobs. I'm not used to that, so I'll try and remember next time. I'm definitely going to remember next time because I'm going to be like, Vanish, Vanish. I've been playing low-level rogues so much, I have forgotten that I even had it. So, you know, I'm not making that mistake again. So that's good. That's monumental for me. But real monumental things. Mortal 2 is getting its UE5, Unreal Engine 5 update tomorrow. And while this doesn't really mean much in the scheme of things, and I'm kind of a little bit worried that it's not even that big of a deal, really, we're going to see how the Mortal client performs after this update, because I do trust Unreal, and I'm hoping that they'll give us some better performance out of that client. It is not optimized, and it needs some work. So I'm hoping this UE5 update does address quite a lot of the issues in Mortal, which might make it easier for me to focus on Mortal, but it's difficult with all these games that I'm playing right now. Tomorrow is also the Rust wipe, and I'm very tempted to play the Rust wipe, but you'll notice that World of Warcraft launched at the exact same time that the Rust wipe happens. And I wonder sometimes if Blizzard is aware of how much Rust can kind of destroy them, really. I think the only contender in the court is actually Rust. It's actually kind of funny. And this, of course, I'm biased, but honestly, there's more people playing Rust than there is, like, people playing Final Fantasy 14 or ESO or 76 or any of those MMOs, like any of them, Diablo, anything. There's more people playing Rust than there is any of the MMOs out there. So, you know, I think it's no surprise that Blizzard launched Season of Discovery pretty much to the minute, not pretty much, but they definitely did launch to the minute that the Rust wipe hits. The minute the Rust wipe hits. So I will not be able to do the Rust wipe, and that's unfortunate. So, but I mean, it's a monumental day for me because it's the last month of the year. The zombie server resets in January, I believe. So we're looking at a pretty good month. Christmas on Rust is the best month of the year, specifically because the music is super good and the vibes are super good. And on all the servers on December 13th. They open up what's called gingerbread portals, and they're like these cool blue portals that open up all over the world in every in every server, even classic. It's a wonderful Christmas event thing. And once an hour, candy pops, and you go picking up candy. And that turns into like Christmas presents, which turn into things like M249 rifles and AKs and MP5s. So on the zombie server, Christmas and Halloween are the best months because you can get your hands on some really good guns that way. So I am probably actually going to play. I'm probably going to play the zombie Rust server because I do want a base. So I think actually I believe the Zombie Rust server hits on noon, and Season of Discovery will go to the BNet page here. Season of Discovery starts goes live November 30th at 1 p.m. PST, which is, yeah, it's like I'll have about an hour to play the zombie server before Season of Discovery goes live globally. But then I'll be maining Season of Discovery tomorrow. I will be playing the zombie wipe because December is my favorite month on Rust. And there's something else happening. Oh yeah, and then the Mortal 2 update. And so this is like, tomorrow's like one of the best days I've ever had as a gamer. And it really does stand out to me. In 23 years, I don't remember a day almost as important as this. I think there was monumental days, like when Final Fantasy VII arrived. I had been waiting for it for 15 months, and I had played the demo from the magazine, and I was a Final Fantasy VII fanatic. I'm talking a freak. I was so into Final Fantasy VII, and I remember I made my mom let me out of school the day it hit, and I bought that. I made her take me to the game store and buy a copy of Final Fantasy VII, and I played it all weekend from like Friday until Monday and shit. And she was like, "You cannot let this game affect you any more than you could." That was a big day. The Zelda 64 release, I traveled to 15 different game stores the day it hit with my best friend. We skipped school and we went to 15 different game stores all over the city of Denver, and we finally found it in the back of a Sears. That was a big day. There's been a couple of MMO launches that were really fucking big for me. But like Terra was big because I got Primark on the Feral Valley server, so that was a big open beta launch. Or not open beta, but it was the launch itself. The launch itself on Terra, the day that Terra hit, was a really big day, and I remember it. And so yeah, there's like 5 or 6 really crazy days, but tomorrow is definitely one of them. Monumentally, it's going to be a monumental day for me. I'm very happy. I've been looking forward to it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I've been trying not to hype it up too much or even talk about it too much because I'm done with the hyperbole in the video game scene. So big days, big stuff happening. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get down to the gaming here and stop talking so much because I have a sore throat from singing for 6 hours. And I believe that's it. But tomorrow will be a very good day. Mortal gets updated, and that gets us one step closer to Mortal being acceptable as a game in my rotation, and I'm very happy about that. I'm actually more excited about that than I am Season of Discovery, because every step that they take to try to bring Mortal to towards, I wanted that game in my repertoire. I wanted it in the main 5, and I'm still disappointed that the client is so shitty and that the performance is so bad and that it doesn't play well with others. So we'll see how a UE5 update will feel tomorrow for Mortal Online 2. I have the opportunity to join my friend Bagon and an old compatriot named Charlie, who used to play a mage in our guild way back in the day, Order of the Ancients. They've been friends as long as I've been friends with Bagon, and Charlie's a PvP kid, and I have an invitation to join a trio on World of Warcraft Season of Discovery on the Horde server. I'm definitely rolling the character Horde, and I'm definitely rolling Horde Rogue, and I'm definitely gonna roll on their server, but I don't know if I can commit to the trio or the guild. I can commit to the guild, but I can't be like very active in it, and I can't really be there too much. But what I will say is I'm gonna be there with Bagon every minute of it I can. I'm gonna try to be there with Bagon. He's been a good friend of mine over the years, and gonna try to shout a confidence out for Bagon. He's like one of the last friends left. He checks the one box that I have left for friend. If a friend wants to be in my life, they must be a full-time gamer. I don't want non-gamers in my life anymore. I don't think they understand the problems. I don't think the people understand it. I don't think my family understands it. I don't think my ex understands it, and she's actually a gamer, you know, like a big one too. I don't think a lot of people understand what it is I do, other than the people who sit in the stream and watch me. And so I've decided now, like while it's hard for me to even socialize with the few friends that I have left, those few friends that I have left are gamers, and so. It's a very snobby thing, but it's about compatibility levels with people. I'm not very compatible with normal people. I'm interminably online. I'm always on 3 to 5 games. I'm off on some video game agenda that does not gel well with the real world. People never liked that I focused on it so much in my real life. Not even my best friends, really. Nobody really liked that I did it as much as I did, and I feel like it's that lack of faith and that lack of support. Now, my best friends stayed try and true, and so did my inner circle. But a lot of the other people in my life did not respect it and did not understand it, and they thought I was better off as a drug addict than I was as a video game addict. And I don't care. I'm better off as a video game addict than I am a drug addict. I know it. I know it. So, you know, here we are. They know I was happier when I was a drug addict. I definitely will say that. I was happier when I wasn't playing video games and I was just doing drugs, I would say. I was a happier person. But I dated a lot more and had a lot more sex and stuff. But I think if I'm to survive and live to a ripe old age, I think it's best that I just sit on the video games and do this stream and try to stay off the streets. So here we are, you know. Every day is a blessing, and today's the best day of my life, and I'm playing my bank alt and I'm loving it. So we're gonna switch off the big screen now. Gonna stop talking so much and get to the gaming here. Gonna fire up a video right off the bat so I have something to listen to in the background, because I am fairly bored with the early WoW Rogue hardcore experience. So honestly, it's like basically lukewarm gameplay to me. Selena Gomez and Matt Rife accusations. Scandals have divided the internet. Let's look at a Philip DeFranco today. Let's actually, you know, I've been looking for a full Turtle WoW server review, and let's see what this guy has to say. I think this interests me more, but I would like to hear the Philip DeFranco as well. Let's add you to queue first. We're gonna do queue, make it a little smaller so I can see more. Cue that one first. Hey, we got a lot of good stuff. Okay, we got a lot of good stuff. We're gonna cue the Philip DeFranco. I'm gonna do the Asmongold, but later we'll do Moist after those guys, and after Moist we'll do the weekly skill up. This week in video games, and yeah, this one looks good because like this is a cautionary tale of how to lose all your viewers, so that's probably important to my job. And I haven't heard of this person. Directed by Fainted with 900,000 views on his videos and shit. Haven't heard of this person, so we'll add that to queue as well. And then I believe, and then we'll do this Asmongold last. Wait, I don't know. What's the list? Expand the list. Yeah, we'll do the Asmongold last. Yeah, go back one more minute here and we'll do the Asmongold last. Add to queue, and here we go, guys. Let's get back to it. I'm gonna get off the big face here. Sorry, I just had to queue some videos and stuff and get this running. I've done all my chores. I've taken care of my house. My house is clean. I have done all the deep chores and scrubbed the toilet and stuff. And like, I've done my monthly shopping, so I have food in the house. I bought beer. I sang a stream for 5 hours last night. Life is good. Everything in its right place. To quote Tom York from Radiohead, everything in its right place. So I feel like right now I've paid my dues and I can go play video games all day. I've done everything I was supposed to do. So here we go. Let's go hear what this guy has to say about Turtle WoW. And my interest in Turtle WoW is I believe, don't quote me, but I believe they have hardcore PvP. And the idea of hardcore PvP on a rogue, of course, on a rogue, really, really appeals to me, actually. So let's see what he has to say about this. I don't believe that's actually the truth, but let's see what happens with Turtle WoW. Thank you, Dylan Smith, for the excellent content for my stream. I would like to sub to your channel.
Today, we are going to be doing a full Turtle WoW Telebim server review. Now, I leveled a priest up to level 46.
Wow.
I re-rolled, and I became a mage, a dwarf mage to be specific. I'm now level 60. I am decent.
What did we do? What did we disconnect? No, I am not disconnected. No. YouTube took a shit, I think. Did you kill my queue? No.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be doing a full Turtle WoW Telebim server review.
Yeah.
I leveled a priest up to level 46.
Fuck yeah.
I re-rolled, and I became a mage, a dwarf mage to be specific. I'm now level 60. I am decently geared, I would say, for the most part. I have raided. I have done plenty of dungeons. I have done battlegrounds. I have explored custom
battlegrounds.
Custom
Wow.
quests.
Custom zones, custom quests.
Everything there is on the server.
Since the fall of Dalaran and the destruction of Quel'Thalas, wares of this sort have been hard to come by. But Luke and Cordell and some of our other tradesmen... Hail, Traveler!
Please
What
stop
bring...
it.
Hail, Traveler!
Please stop
I'm
it.
going to rate it based on what I have available to me now. So, let's just begin. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit.
Now, why did you change everything, though?
Now,
Oh, well, that's okay. It's good enough.
what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be...
Hail, Traveler! What brings you to my doorstep?
My God.
Categories, and I'm going to go over those categories here in a minute, but the ratings are going to range from 0 to 5, and we're going to take the average sum of all of those ratings, and that's going to be basically our rating of the server. So the server is either going to be a 0, 1,
Hail,
2,
Traveler!
3,
What
4,
brings you to
or
my
5.
doorstep?
Now, before you begin, this is obviously all my opinion. This is my experience. This is not reflective of everyone else's experience. For some people, the server is a 0.
Why did my
and for
settings
others,
get
it's gonna be a
erased?
5. So,
It's weird.
if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. If you feel like what I say is wrong, let me know down in the comments below. Or if you feel like something I said is right, let me know why you agree with me. But let's go ahead and talk about the categories we're going to be going over. We're going to be reviewing stability, population, leveling, custom zones, custom
Since
quests,
the fall of Dalaran and the
custom
destruction
dungeons,
of Quel'Thalas, wares
custom
of
raids,
this sort have been hard to come by.
balance,
But Luke
open
and
world
Cordell
PvP,
and some of our other tradesmen have been doing a
battlegrounds,
fine job of
the
filling
community,
our orders with quality
guilds,
merchandise.
developers
I sell
and
only
staff,
the finest
Fuck.
arcane
and then
gear,
everything else.
made by the
Everything
It's
else
fine.
being
mages
just
here
things
in
that
the
don't
city of Stormwind.
necessarily fit here
Hail,
nor
Traveler!
there,
What
but
brings you to my doorstep?
just whatever else I found about the server to either be good or bad. So firstly, let's start with stability. Stability, first and foremost, I think gets a 4 out of 5. The server is usually stable, it's usually up, and it's playable. You know, not a lot of servers are graced with this kind of stability, but for the most part, Telebim has been very stable. We typically get announcements when there's going to be downtime for whatever reason, and we usually get fixes and new updates when downtime happens. So not only will the server go down, but we also will get fixes and new things every time the server goes down, which I think is really awesome. Obviously, the only bad part here is that the server
my wares,
can
or is
sometimes
there
be
something
down for an
specific I
unknown
can help
amount of
you
time.
find today?
They can say it'll be down
Best
for 10
deals
minutes
in
and
all
then
of
it's down for
Stormwind,
2
my
hours.
friend. Won't find any better. Now, what
Unexpected
can I
things
help you
happen,
with?
so I don't really hold this against them, but
We've been doing
is
a
something
lot
that I
of
should
business
point out.
lately. It seems like everyone is buying armor.
next,
and
we're going to talk
sturdy
about
clothes.
population. Population has been a very, very big talking point about Telebim. Specifically, a lot of people say the server is dead, the server is not alive. I'm currently playing on a Monday at 11 a.m. There's 1,400 people online. Some people would say that's dead. I have to disagree. Usually around peak times, we're seeing anywhere from 2,400 to 2,500 players. Guilds are extremely active. Players are always helping and talking in world chat, all that good stuff. The population makes the world feel alive, honestly. Like, I've not been out in the world and thought this game's dead, this server's dead. I've never thought that. I've already said this, but you know, there are plenty of guilds active, even both on Horde and Alliance. The only time you're going to really notice the population is kind of shit is dungeons. Dungeons, for some reason, really struggle to attract specific roles, specifically like tanks, healers, mostly tanks for the most part. And that can be really annoying, because like right now there's 56 people in queue looking for dungeons, and as you can see, there is almost no tanks whatsoever. So that is a really big issue on this server, is there's no tanks. But yeah, I'm giving that a 4 out of 5 for population though. Moving on, we're going to talk about leveling. Leveling for me is a 5 out of 5. I thought it was the perfect experience. With the addition of survival, tents allow you to basically benefit from double XP. New zones give you more room to level via quests. New dungeons allow better gear upgrades and XP, etc. And the world PvP is awesome to have while leveling. Now, obviously, there are people that have been ganked and whatnot out in the open world while they're leveling. It happens to everybody, but I don't really see that as a negative. That's just the experience of being on a PvP server. Leveling is extremely easy on here. You don't need a lot of time to level on this server, none at all. Some classes are obviously going to level a little bit slower than other classes, that's to be expected. But the leveling experience is super easy, and I think they have streamlined it much better to make it feel more whole and complete, whereas in the original vanilla, it felt like once you hit kind of like the level 45 area, you start to have to grind out certain areas to essentially get your levels.
I can't find this mod.
Yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. Moving on to custom zones. I'm just going to talk about some custom zones and kind of my experiences with them. Gilneas, I thought was a really awesome zone in my opinion. I thought the quest layout was really good. I thought the quests gave good amount of experience. They gave good gear, good sellables, all that great stuff. I did enjoy Lapidus Isle and Gilligum Isle. I thought the layouts were pretty unique. It reminded me of that Vashj'ir, or whatever that zone's called in Cataclysm, the underwater zone. It kind of reminded me of that, even though it's not necessarily underwater zone. It just kind of gave that vibe of that. There's also new additions to previous zones. So like, for example, in Badlands, there's a bunch of new areas in Badlands and new quests that tie into that. So I really like that. The only custom zone that like I really did not care for was, funnily enough, the Telebim zone. I felt like it had a ton of backtracking quests that were just genuinely annoying to do. The guards are broken in the safe zone. There's a ton of quests where like you have to go out and buy a bunch of different things or farm them and then come back, and then the quest tells you to go do the same thing again, which ties back into backtracking. I really did not like Telebim. Telebim was honestly really fucking annoying to quest in, and I really don't recommend doing it, only if it's for like getting recipes or certain trinkets and items from the quests. Like, other than that, I would just avoid it. It's not all that good. Custom zones for me, they get a 4 out of 5. I thought most of the custom zones were really awesome, but you know, I only had like maybe a couple bad experiences here or there with it. Moving on to custom quests. Custom quests for me, this is going to be my first bad rating. This is a 2 out of 5. The only positive I could really think of is most of the time custom quests yield really good gear. That's a pretty typical thing on Turtle WoW, I've noticed. Like, anytime you do a custom quest, whether it involves a zone or a dungeon, you usually are getting good gear out of it, which is a nice thing. I think that's a good thing to do. They should keep it like that. But a lot of the times the quests are very poorly written. They're not very good at describing what you're supposed to do half the time. A lot of them are usually misleading or confusing. And the big problem is that they're typically unfinished, meaning you could end up doing a quest chain, and you get to the end of the quest chain, you get an item that you don't know what it does, and come to find out the item is completely useless because the developer that worked on it for 4+ years no longer is with Turtle WoW, and the GM tells you to basically fuck off because, yeah, they're not going to finish it. I know that sounded really specific, and that's because it is. I'm probably going to end up making a video about that, so stay tuned for that, for my in-depth analysis of how to obtain the Scarlet Crusade and insignia, which is basically just a fucking bauble that you can put in world chat to woo and amaze people into thinking that you've gotten something unique and special, even though it's basically a piece of shit. So yeah, Custom Quest gets a 2 out of 5 for that, because most of the time they end up being a waste of time or very just poorly written and bad. I don't really like them. Custom dungeons. This one's kind of like in the middle of the road for me. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Many of the dungeons offer, you know, a vast amount of new experiences through quests and loot and bosses and all that great stuff. The aesthetics and themes of certain dungeons were amazing. I especially liked Hateforge Quarry. It really appealed to me a lot. But most of the time, some dungeons suffer from being overtuned or just being, you know, made to be annoying for difficulty sakes, which I don't really agree with. I hate when people make things like damage sponges, or they just make things just obnoxious to do because it needs to be hard. I don't really agree with that way of balancing. I find that
wow, look at this, guys.
Lazy. So a lot of the dungeon difficulty here, even though most of these dungeons aren't difficult, but there's just certain things where you have to do them a certain way, or they're just harder than they need to be. Specifically, certain dungeons like
look at this
Quarry also are incredibly long for the small amount of bosses in the dungeon. That dungeon's like a 2.5-hour dungeon, and there's not that many bosses for it, honestly. And most of the time, a lot of the loot in that dungeon, like, some of the best loot comes from the first couple of bosses and then the last boss, which makes running it a pain in the fucking ass, honestly. There's a lot of times you have somebody who wants to be the completionist and they only want to do the entire dungeon in its entirety or a quest or whatever it might be, and it just fucking sucks to do that dungeon in its entirety because most of the time a bunch of shit in there is just useless. So yeah, got a 3 out of 5 for me. I'm not that crazy about the
So apparently XQC died and this is the community response. Yep. Dead game, guys. Is he live? No. No. Offline. Nope. Wow. Wow. Look at this craziness. I didn't expect something like this. Last time I saw something like this was when Trump lost. There was like 15,000 people dancing in Ogrimmar, and they made a line of frogs like this all the way down left and all the way down right. The entire server, 15,000 people, had frog mounts. And when Trump lost, we went nuts. We were like, thank God, the devil has been slain, and the country has been saved. And there was like 15,000 people dancing in the fucking streets. Anybody who thinks that the world likes Trump, ugh, I've seen the truth. There was 15,000 people dancing. It was just insane. It was a lot more than this. People really were very happy when he lost. He'll lose again if he tries again. These are my people. As much as I dislike them, I love them. You can love and dislike something at the same time. Happens in marriage all the time. I can't die, I lose my bank. I'm glad I played WoW today. It's like, what? It's like a dwarf. We started a fad. Yeah! Yeah, if I didn't stream all day yesterday, I would stream all day today. I'm glad I caught it. Wow. This is funny. Phasing. Something with the layers, I don't know. They keep phasing in and out. This is Cathedral Square. Are they going to Cathedral? I don't think they are, though. I'm gonna go about my business now. This was entertaining, but oh my god, the phasing made it really dumb. See it? They're all just disappearing. Maybe it's okay, I don't know. I don't know why they're all disappearing right here. That's so weird. I don't really know where this huge crowd of people is even going. Yeah, the layering is making this dumb. I'm gonna go do what I was gonna do. I suppose I have all this stuff that I should post. Boy, I made a lot of fucking light armor kits. This is fun, but I got what I wanted out of it.
Moving on to the custom raids, I gave it also a 3 out of 5. I basically said it's just cool and new experiences, but it's mostly just your standard raids with semi-interesting boss mechanics, but nothing to go crazy about. A lot of the new raids have a lot better loot in them than other raids and whatnot. They're all right. Like I'm not gonna sit here and sing praises about the dungeons or raids. They're dungeons and raids. It's PvE content. I don't really care about it. I don't think they're all that interesting, and they've not exactly wowed me in any specific way, shape, or form. Just turning the music up just a little bit. But yeah, I gave custom raids 3 out of 5. Moving on to balance. Balance is kind of where we got another low score. It's a 2 out of 5 for me. I personally, this is like the only positive I could really throw out there. I respect the attempt of trying to bring hybrid specs into the fold of the gameplay for other people to make druids and shamans and paladins more palatable for people that enjoyed them but didn't feel like they exactly had a good role in PvE or PvP. I respect the attempt at the minimum, but classes like paladin, druid, and shaman also received a ton of unnecessary buffs, which has caused a lot of imbalance in my opinion. I honestly think it's crazy how people have hyped up Paladin. Now, maybe this has to do with later on in the raid progressions where we see better gear for Paladins come out, where they just become crazily overpowered. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, playing with Telebim, playing with other PvP players, Paladins don't seem all that great. Don't get me wrong, they're stronger, but they're not necessarily better or amazing. I don't see that, honestly. Druids are absolutely fucking broken in my opinion. I also think shamans are as well. Like, you have a good elemental shaman who is geared. You're talking about a really tanky motherfucker who does a ton of fucking damage very quickly. I don't think these changes were very necessary, whereas like I'm playing a mage, and sure, mage was already strong. I'm not asking for mage to be buffed, but you can't sit there and expect me to be happy when I go look at class changes and mage gets a spell coefficient change to their arcane missiles, and druid gets fucking frenzied regeneration, and shamans are basically like one-man armies for the most part. I don't know. I don't really like the changes to the classes, especially the hybrid classes. Shadow Priest got buffed, which I don't agree with, now being 60 and playing the game for a good bit. I think them being more mana efficient it basically goes against the whole design of their spec, because the whole point of them was they were supposed to be powerful, but they were supposed to have a time limit on their resources. But now, you know, they basically have plenty of resources to sit there and just constantly just fuck you in your ass, which I really don't care for. I would say most of the time in a 1v1,
aggro,
if I have my cooldowns and I'm like ready, and it was a duel, I can beat a Shadow Priest. But most of the times when you're fighting a Shadow Priest, it's at inopportune times, or you're in situations where you're in a battleground or a blood ring, whatever it might be, where the Shadow Priest is basically allowed to free cast on you while others sit on top of you. So, I don't know. I don't really agree with the way Shadow Priest has been buffed. I don't think it was the right thing. They were already strong, and I think just making them stronger didn't really do anything or any good for anyone, except people who want to play Shadow Priest, which is already a very boring and like one-dimensional playstyle in my opinion to begin with. Finally, just to tack on with balance, I really don't agree with the way they've switched around a lot of talent trees for certain classes, especially like Paladin. You know, they basically have ripped up these traditional specs that people have observed and followed and used, and now you're basically having to make new specs because they've been switched around. And you might think, well, Dylan, that's a good thing. They're switching things up. They're making it new. And it's like, no. What they're doing is they're trying to balance something that was already okay, but then they're making it worse because now you have to go down a different tree to get something you already had to begin with, but now you don't because you're playing on Turtle WoW. A Paladin, I think, definitely suffers from this when they're talking about their whatever it's called, their aura that gives them more holy damage. I can't think of the name right off the top of my head, but you apparently have to go down the holy tree for that now instead of the ret tree, which just is fucking retarded. It just makes no sense. Yeah, balance is a 2 out of 5 for me. I really don't like it. I think a lot of the changes were extremely unnecessary, or they just basically added more fluff to classes that didn't need it already, in my opinion. But yeah. Moving on to open world PvP. Open world PvP for me has got a 4 out of 5. The open world PvP has been extremely active. Players constantly band together to participate, and players are not afraid of PvP on the server. I really like that. But obviously there is the negative, which is players have reported an incessant amount of like being camped or ganked. But I mean, that's just to be expected on PvP server. You know, Horde arguably leveled much faster because they just have better early on quests and gear rewards than Alliance. So most of the time you could enter a zone that's for level 30s and the Horde there are already 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 levels above you for some reason. Wink wink. You know, they're just there to gank you. They don't care about leveling, they just want the PvP. That can be frustrating because that is not enjoyable, fighting somebody that is outgearing you, out-leveling you. You know, there's not really much room to outplay someone early on when you don't have the means to outplay them to begin with. So, anyway, still 4 out of 5 for me for open world PvP. And now we're moving on to Battlegrounds, which has the lowest score on this list, I believe, which is a 1 out of 5. The only positive thing about the Battlegrounds is the player aspect of it, but even then there are glaring issues. So what I mean by that is that you can make Battlegrounds fun and enjoyable when you play with friends, but even then it can still be very frustrating and annoying. But let's talk about that. Many of the rep grinds for the Battleground factions are atrocious to do. There has been a lot of rep changes on the server. Like, you gain rep for almost everything at a substantially slower pace. I don't know why. But for some reason they thought, let's just have all of the reputation gains and just force these people to do these grinds twice as long. Whoever made that change, you're a fucking moron. That's just the truth, and I'm not apologizing for it. Players participating in Battlegrounds are either bots or meta slaves. So what do I mean by that is people being bots is that they simply wander around and they do nothing to contribute to the Battleground or themselves in no shape or form. I kid you not, I was in an Alterac Valley last night. I saw this level 52 paladin wandering around like he was a fucking beat dog that did not have a home. And soon enough he found Dylan the Kind in AV and he wandered around and followed Dylan around with no rhyme or reason. He didn't speak, he didn't say anything, he just followed me around like a fucking dog, and I don't know why, because I was all farming in AV. I wasn't even doing PvP in the fucking Battleground at the time. And I let a fucking troll kill him, and I just watched him die like a bot. Like, I legitimately think he was a bot, but I don't know. But then you have people that are quite literally poop stalkers that will sit there and queue AV back to back and will mash their fucking keyboard into the Battleground chat for like 20 seconds straight, telling them to go south, go south, go south, go south, go south, go south, go south. And then people wonder why they tell them to shut the fuck up and that they're just being like annoying and obnoxious. These same fucking retards who are mashing their keyboards start raging at them, and then you have all of their fucking friends and guild members raging at them because they're telling this one guy who just won't shut the fuck up about spamming to shut the fuck up. I don't really need to name names. If you're on Alliance side, you know who you fucking are. You're a fucking giant baby, honestly. But, you know, that could be its own video, honestly. The fucking Alterac Valley experience on Telebim Alliance. You know, basically one guy just spamming the same thing 30 times and then getting mad when it doesn't happen because he thinks he's some kind of fucking general
leader,
ordering these fucking 30 to 40 plus year old players around. Which,
like
by
what?
the way, I'm not in that bracket, thankfully. But still, it's crazy how hard people are slaves to a meta in a 20 plus year old game, and they want to sit here and juice the experience as hard as they can simply because my reputation, my grind, and my this and that. I'm gonna be honest, I stood up and I just said, fuck you guys, you're fucking retarded, this isn't fun. And I got shit on for it. So, yeah, that's the AV experience. Let's move on, talk more about some Battlegrounds. AV is a consistent match of players arguing about speedrunning every match or just enjoying the fights. I kid you not, it is that every single match. Blood Ring. It's a miserably unbalanced experience. There's no duo queue. Certain ability restrictions for certain classes, but not others. You know, paladins don't get lay on hands, but druids get frenzied regeneration. So, like, what the fuck is going on there?
Wow.
There's a ton of pet and minion spam. No consumables are off limits. The rep grind is meant to be extremely slow and grindy, and it's just fucking atrocious, honestly. Blood Ring just fucking sucks, honestly. What it usually is people either queue in as solo, and then you're in there with 2 other solo players that don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're jamming their fingers up their ass while they're playing. And then you're fighting a trio of basically PvP and raid geared players with 5 to 6k HP, with all their consumables up, with every known item in fucking existence of World of Warcraft that gives them some kind of edge in PvP, even if it does 1 damage to the enemy player. If it gives them an advantage, they have it and they fucking use it. Now, props to the Horde for coordinating and doing stuff like that, but it's just a miserable experience. It's not fun. I don't see how you get enjoyment out of doing it, because you have people that still do the Blood Ring rep because it gives good honor, and they're still just cheesing the fuck out of these experiences. And I know it's cheesing because most of the time, if you catch these players off guard, like let's say like I solo queue into Blood Ring, and I get 2 other solo queues who are competent players with me, but we're not cheesing really hard or anything, we're just good players, we usually can beat the trio stack that's cheesing everything because they suck. Because everything that they do is reliant upon them having their cheese carry them. You know, and again, I'm not going to name names, but anybody from Horde who watched this video, and you know, you're one of these people in Blood Ring who came in with full raid gear and whatever else, and you're coming in with 5k HP and you're spamming consumables, and you know, you're getting absolutely outplayed most of the time, but you know, you're just getting carried by gear crutch and items. You fucking suck. I mean, I just don't know what else to tell you. But yeah, that has ultimately made Blood Ring also very shit. It's not enjoyable at all.
You know, it's weird. The class of player, this guy has 2,000 subs, which is interesting. And 72,000 hits, which is pretty fucking good. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything at all.
No incentives to do them. Like, where is Arathi Basin? Where is Warsong Gulch? Where is Sunnyglade Valley? I've not even done this fucking battleground yet because it just doesn't pop. Because there's no incentive to. There's no quest to do dailies. There's only like, there's like days where like you get double honor for specific.
It got complainy, and I'm gonna move on.
Today, we're talking about Selena Gomez's plastic surgery scandal and accusations, Sabrina Carpenter got a priest removed for what he did, the amazing rescue of these miners. The truth about this Olympics controversy goes deeper than you'd expect. I got a little secret for you at the end of today's show. We're talking about all that and so much more in today's brand new extra-large Philip DeFranco show. You daily dive into the news, so just make sure you hit that like button, otherwise we'll punch you in the throat, and let's jump into it. Starting with celebrities and plastic surgery. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. I mean,
thank you, Philip DeFranco, for the excellent content from a stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
Really gotten to a point where you have a lot of people assuming that celebrities just get plastic surgery these days. With the latest person getting the spotlight being Selena Gomez. And that's because you had outlets like Pop Face and Pop Tings both sharing new photos of her. People then looking at those photos and saying she looks very different. Writing things like, she showed a picture of Lily Rose Depp to the surgeon. Almost unrecognizable. How many faces does this woman have? Is it just me, or does her face change every time she posts? And with that, people accusing her of getting things like a full facelift or getting work done on her cheeks. With tons of people making fun of her, saying that it looks botched and joking that she deserves to look bad after the way she spoke about Israel and Palestine. But then at the same time, you have, of course, people defending her, noting that she has lupus and the disease itself. And
she has lupus?
Gain or lose weight in your face. Look different. So you had people saying things like, y'all know you can hate Selena Gomez without being weirdos about
she has lupus,
right? So every time she loses weight, everyone is going to say that she has surgery and has a new face, even when
I didn't know
she has lupus. And the dopamine rush some of y'all get when talking shit about someone with an autoimmune disease won't change your sad realities, by the way. On top of that, there are photos of her in one of the same outfits, so taken seemingly on the same day,
girlfriend.
Her face doesn't seem as angular. And all this obviously comes, we don't know Selena's situation, right? She hasn't said one way or the other, which, I mean, even that is a topic. I mean, accusations already get thrown around all the time, but I mean, at this stage of the internet where engagement farming is so fucking insane, I think it borders on weird to actually expect celebrities to comment on every accusation, especially when we're talking about things like that aren't crimes. And also, notably, all of this playing out as you had other big names shutting down rumors about themselves, right? You had a plastic surgeon posting a video about how he gave his famous client a good jawline, only for the person to get canceled a week later, suggesting in the hashtags that it was a stand-up comedian comedian, so many thought that it was Matt, right? With Matt then actually commenting that lying about someone's medical history is illegal, seemingly implying that it wasn't him. Though whatever the situation, there's also a whole conversation about medical professionals putting out shit like this. And on top of that, you also had Jennifer Lawrence and Kylie Jenner having a conversation in Interview magazine, with their rumors about their faces coming up, with the women noting that a lot of the time it's just makeup creates these illusions, and Jennifer saying, I also think it's incredible what makeup can do because I work with Hung Van Gogh, who overlines lip, and I call him a plastic surgeon because everybody in the last few months since I've been working with him is convinced that I had eye surgery. I'm like, I didn't have eye surgery, I'm doing makeup. Jennifer also saying that simply growing up will change your face, explaining, I lost baby weight in my face, and my face changed because I'm aging. Everybody thought I had a nose job, and I'm like, I've had the exact same nose. My cheeks got smaller. Thank you for bringing it up. Kylie also saying the same thing happened to her, but also noting she had lip filler. Then people will also use photos of her now and compare them to when she was like a child. And there, Kylie saying, I'll see before and after photos when I'm 12 years old versus 26 and my eyebrows are filled differently. I have contour on. I'm like, how can you compare my 12-year-old face and say I've gotten my jaw shaved and eyelids removed? I'm like, what are we talking about? You know, with the overall aspect of this story or any of the individuals mentioned, I'd really love to know your thoughts on this. And then Sabrina Carpenter just got a priest in major trouble, though in his defense, this is the least controversial or disturbing way I've seen a priest get national news attention in the past 2 decades. So let me explain, right? She filmed part of her music video, Feather, in a church in Brooklyn. And in the video where she either watches the deaths of or just straight up murders men who have wronged her, she then attends their funeral at a church, then dancing up and down the aisle and on the altar in front of their caskets, all while wearing maybe a not church appropriate outfit, right? She's got a short black tulle dress and sky-high heels. You know, an outfit that maybe I could rock after a few more months of not skipping leg day. And this video came out just before Halloween, and a few days later, the Catholic News Agency reported that Bishop Robert Brennan was appalled by the video and planned to investigate how the video was allowed to be filmed there. With that, the parish did not follow policy regarding the filming on church property, which includes a review of the scenes and script. Though notably here, the parish apparently claimed that it was the production company who misrepresented with the video.
I mean, it is ghoulish.
So with this, we have an update with a new report from the New York Times saying the Monsignor who greenlit the video's filming was taken off administrative duties at the church. Though apparently this actually happened not long after the video came out. It's just reports are being released now. And, you know, for his part, the priest has apologized to his community for any distress this incident caused, but also adding that when he looked Sabrina up, he found nothing alarming and thought it would be a good opportunity to create a bond with young artists. He claimed the final edit of the funeral scene was not what he was initially presented with. And right now, it does seem like his community is willing to forgive him, with one parishioner telling the New York Times, the punishment did not fit the crime. We still love him. We still back him. Which I will say, I think shows the forgiveness that the church should have. Even though, and I think the Catholic Church would agree with me here, this is the worst thing to happen in the Catholic Church in the past 2 to 3 decades. No doubt. And it shows how dedicated they are to their flock's safety. And then, in huge international news, India just announced that they've rescued 41 construction workers who were trapped underground for over a week. So these 41 men were working on the $1.5 billion Char Dam Highway, which is meant to connect 4 Hindu pilgrimage sites and is one of Prime Minister Modi's prized projects. However, while they were digging through the Himalayas, the tunnel collapsed and trapped the men for 17 days. And while it's unclear right now what exactly caused the collapse, the mountainous region is well known for earthquakes, floods, and landslides. And as far as how the Char Dam 41 managed to stay alive so long, it's because rescue crews drilled little passageways under the chamber and pumped in oxygen, water, and food. And at the same time, crews were working around the clock to open up a passage big enough to get the men out. And while they tried a number of methods, the one that proved to be the most effective, despite many snags along the way, was just to drill through the debris that was blocking the tunnel. With eventually the workers connecting a 3-foot wide pipe to the outside. And with this, initial reports indicated that a wheeled stretcher was sent to them to help them out, but according to the chief minister of the local state, the workers actually preferred to crawl out on their own, which also, after all that time, was a good indication of their health, with the minister adding that they were all healthy. And so with this, we saw crews and locals celebrating each time a man came out of the tunnel, although the rescue
hells yeah
stay long as they were sent away in ambulances to make sure that they were actually fine.
There's the first one.
Ordeal, the workers are getting $1,200, which I know
$1,200
sounds like a lot, but at the same time, these workers are from India's poorest states and working a low-paying job. So that $1,200 ends up actually being equal to 6 months of the average salary in the state. Though also with this, you had the local chief minister reportedly asking the company that these 41 workers be allowed to go home and spend time with their family for 15 days, 20 days, or even a month. Though also, for me personally, I can't imagine being in these men's shoes. Because, I mean, the reality is they are likely going to have to go back to this job. And I know my soft Play-Doh ass would be completely traumatized. So I
would not go back.
But hey, for now, let's live in the now and just be happy that
I'm not going back there.
And then in U.S. politics, we got to talk about Tommy Tuberville, because Tommy is either the biggest hypocrite or the biggest idiot in Congress. And I know some of you were thinking, why not both? But I remind you, this is Congress we're talking about. There's a lot of competition out there. I can't be just handing out trophies willy-nilly. George Santos compared himself to Mary Magdalene the other day. But specifically, for its diverse diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility programs for the next fiscal year.
You gotta be kidding me. You know, we've got the weakest military that we've had in probably a year in my lifetime. Now, we've got a lot of good military people, but infiltrating our military is all this wokeness, and it's coming from the top.
Oh my God! Shut up about woke tribalism bullshit, idiot. Shut the fuck
the US
up.
military is so weak. It is important to remind you what Tuberville.
Are we saying that wokeness made the military weak? I would like to know how. How? Did opening the military to more demographics make us weaker? I don't believe so. I think I want to cut the military defense budget. And I think that's what they're doing. I'd rather the rent was affordable and the food was affordable and the gasoline and there was plentiful jobs and all this than a bunch of B-52 bombers that cost $100 million each. I don't care about that. Don't need that. Don't want that. If they attack us... I mean, did all of our hardware and all of our tech disappear? Did we lose it in a war somehow? What happened to all that money we spent over the last 50 years? Did all that stuff just disappear? Did we sell it? I mean, what happened to all the guns, bombs, and planes we made in the last 70 years? Like, did it... I mean, I guess we had some wars, but I don't think we used up all of our guns and bombs and stuff on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Where did that stuff go, you know?
Aggro.
It didn't go anywhere. It's still here. So cut the budget. And when someone has the audacity to attack us, then we reprioritize the military budget. I don't know why you would spend all your time in a blacksmithy, like sharpening your blades and making your arrows and your bow and all this when you have no war. Does it make sense? Now you
forgotten. He is the man who is literally single-handedly preventing the transfer of power in the highest levels of the military by holding up hundreds and hundreds of officer promotions. His supposed reasoning being that he doesn't personally like a Pentagon policy that gives service members time off and travel reimbursements for abortions or other reproductive care like fertility treatments. So he's gone.
Wow, so he's like straight up like fuck women, essentially. I mean, and I'm saying that in jest. I'm not saying it because I believe in it. I'm saying that's what he said. I'm putting words in his mouth. He's saying F the women, essentially. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's like a baby acting like a child.
Wow, temper tantrum. Insisting that until that policy is reversed, he will block the Senate.
How is this not a war on women? How's that not a war on women? I kind of want to hunt him. We used to nominate people for the Republican Hunting Club. You know, we almost made the Republican Hunting Club. My friend was kind of serious about that. The Republican Hunting Club, you know, and that guy makes the list.
It's typically been bipartisan and totally non-controversial, and he has continued this for months despite widespread criticism. And that criticism also coming from many members of Tuberville's own party, with tons of Republicans condemning him for jeopardizing military readiness and damaging the U.S. military at a time when we're dealing with multiple international
charge
crises.
and rend.
That's good. People immediately hitting back at Tuberville, noting one, he's never actually served in the military, and two, saying that he's a big fat hypocrite, arguing that yes, the military actually has been weakened, but it's literally Tuberville who's doing that. This has been echoed by people who served high up in the military and Republican lawmakers, with the likes of former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman tweeting, "I agree with you, Tuberville. The U.S. military is weakened, but not by wokeness. It is weakened by your attacks, obstruction of military promotions, and you're serving our enemy's interests." But adding, despite you, the U.S. military remains the most powerful force in the world. As well as Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger writing, "Tuberville is an idiot, wrong, and obviously doesn't understand the absolute lethality of the U.S. military. Come on, Alabama, do better." But also, here's a big thing. That brain-melting stupidity aside, we might actually see some movement on the nominations that Tuberville is holding up soon. And that's because this past weekend, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wrote a letter to his colleagues where he outlined his agenda for December and made it clear breaking Tuberville's blockade would be a priority, saying they could achieve this by bringing a resolution to the floor that was already already advanced by the Senate Rules Committee and would circumvent Tuberville by allowing the block of motions to be considered in large groups with a full Senate. And in order for that to happen, it would need to receive at least 16 votes, so Republicans would need to get on board. But given all of the Republicans who have spoken out against Tuberville, it seems like that could actually happen. But could and should and will are not the same thing, so we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. And then, yo, this is really the best time of year to get the best deals on the things that you hear me talking about a lot. And today's fantastic sponsor, Beam, is one of the deals I'm excited to share with you, because Beam has an all-natural nighttime blend, clinically shown to improve your sleep, and let me tell you, it works. It helps me stay asleep, and I wake up feeling refreshed and energized. And it's not like other sleep aids that make you feel groggy in the morning. You know, before Dream, I had a hard time winding down and shutting my brain off after a busy work day. But Dream has changed the sleep game for me. Plus, it tastes like a delicious hot cocoa, and it helps curb my sweet tooth, and only at 15 calories. And, you know, with all this, I was skeptical about it at first, but let me tell you, just 30 minutes after drinking it, I can hardly keep my eyes open. And Beam has multiple flavors to choose from too. White chocolate, peppermint, sea salt, caramel are my go-to. And this is the most exclusive sale of the year with Beam and the best discount I've ever had. Just go to shopbeam.com/Franco or scan the QR code to save up to 50% off and a free frother. Yes, really, up to 50% off when you go to shopbeam.com/Franco or just scan the QR code. And then, yo, we're still years away from the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The International Olympic Committee is already fucking shit up, which honestly, I could be referring to a number of things there, but specifically what I want to talk about today is lacrosse. Because just a few weeks ago, the IOC approved lacrosse to be added to the 2028 roster, marking the first time in over a century that the sport will return as a medal event. As a part of that decision, the IOC also approved 4 other sports: baseball or softball for women, cricket, flag football, and squash. And in a statement announcing the move, IOC President Thomas Bach argued the choice of these 5 new sports is in line with the American sports culture and will showcase iconic American sports to the world. And adding, their inclusion will allow the Olympic movement to engage with new athlete and fan communities in the U.S. and globally. Right, each of the 5 sports the committee added is intended to represent different aspects of American culture. And lacrosse, which is widely considered the oldest team sport in North America, is meant to represent the indigenous tribes in North America that invented the sport. In fact, it's been reported that organizers for the Los Angeles Olympics and World Lacrosse, the sport's international federation, leaned heavily into the indigenous history of the sport to sell the IOC on the idea. But despite all that, the IOC is refusing to let a team of indigenous players whose ancestors literally invented lacrosse play in the 2028 games. Right, and the team in question is the Haudenosaunee National, formerly known as the Iroquois National. And they represent the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which is a European-like alliance representing the 6 Native American nations whose territory included the parts of upstate New York and neighboring Canada, where lacrosse was conceived in the 1100s. And according to historians, Native American nations in the region would play with as many as 100 to 1,000 men on fields that could stretch for miles and in games that could last for days. And the importance of the sport in Native American culture really can't be understated here. I mean, it was played to prepare for war, to settle disputes, and as a social event where tribes would get together to play and trade. But the value of the game also went beyond just practical purposes. Many tribes also believed that lacrosse held medicinal powers, earning it the name the medicine game, a name that's actually still used today by some indigenous folks. And the true significance of the sport for these cultures was perfectly illustrated by Neil Paulus, a member of the Onondaga Nation and former professional player, who said, "Lacrosse is part of that story of our creation, of our identity, of who we are. So when we play the game, we always say that there's a simultaneous game going on in Sky World and our ancestors are playing with us." And adding, lacrosse isn't just a game, it's a medicine. It heals. You hear it time and time again how the spirit of the sport itself has healed people because they believe that it's medicine that speaks to the spirit and the soul. And those sentiments and values hold true for many indigenous people today, and lacrosse sticks are actually still given to babies of those Native American nations at birth. But for many indigenous folks, lacrosse also goes much further than culture. It's a key element of indigenous sovereignty. Right? Native Americans played the game for centuries before European colonists settled the land. But like many aspects of North American history, the modern game as we know it today was shaped by European influences. And unfortunately, European colonizers treated lacrosse much like they treated the land of Native Americans. They saw it, they stole it, they made it their own, and then largely excluded the indigenous people who came first. With the modern game of lacrosse as it's played today, first evolving outside of Native American tribes in Canada during the 1800s. And as the game became increasingly popular, it spread to the US and eventually extended to other parts of the world outside North America. And over the course of the 20th century, clubs, leagues, and federations popped up all over the world at all levels, from pee-wee to college to professional. But the history of Native American involvement in those lacrosse organizations is spotty at best. I mean, it wasn't even until 1983 that Haudenosaunee formed their own national team. They're then called Iroquois Nationals, with the women's team being founded a year later. When the leaders of the Confederacy officially sanctioned the team, they hoped that the move would help put them on track toward national recognition. And 5 years later, they got their wish when the International Federation that governs lacrosse admitted the team into the organization. organization, allowing them to play internationally as their own nation. While that might sound like a small thing to some, that was absolutely massive. Because while the Confederacy was once recognized as a nation, it has since become an unrecognized state. And its independence is mostly established in treaties with other nations, but not by sports leagues or international institutions. So having an international sports league recognize them as a nation was a huge step for the Confederacy to be viewed as a nation and sovereign entity. In fact, it wasn't even until the team formed that the Confederacy designed its own flag and composed a national anthem. That recognition also spread internationally, with members of the team traveling abroad using Haudenosaunee passports. Now that said, they have brought up times like when the UK refused to honor the passports and blocked both the men's and women's teams from crossing their borders. The team was also initially excluded from last year's 2022 World Games. So they were eventually allowed to compete after the US and Canadian Olympic committees gave them the sign-off and Ireland dropped out to give the team their slot. And despite the road bumps, the team has been able to rise through the ranks to become one of the best teams in the whole world, with the men's team winning 3 bronze medals at international championships, including one
diversity is a good motivation in sports.
Teams only falling behind
or adversity.
So all of that brings us to the question, why is the IOC preventing the 3rd best men's lacrosse team in the world from competing in the 2028 Olympics? And there, well, the Haudenosaunee is not a member of the IOC or the United Nations, and in a statement to the media, the IOC explained only National Olympic Committees recognized by the IOC can enter teams for the Olympic Games. Now, notably, the committee did say that the US and Canada could include athletes from the Confederacy in their respective teams, depending on their passports, but notably, it's unclear how many of those members have US or Canadian passports, or if they would even want to do that. Because again, their passports are a major point of pride and a symbol of their pursuit of sovereignty. Back in 2010, when the UK blocked the men's team from entering, the athletes refused the State Department's offer to give them emergency US passports. But with all that said, there is some hope here. There's still arguably a lot of time for the IOC to change its mind or come up with some kind of way for the team to compete. With spokespeople for both World Lacrosse and the LA Games saying they will work to find what was referred to as creative solutions that also respect IOC rules. And very notably here, there is in fact past precedent for the IOC allowing exceptions to the national team rule. For example, a handful of territories, including Puerto Rico and Hong Kong, contracted in some form to countries through agreements that allow them to compete with their own teams. And since 2016, a team of refugees from numerous countries like South Sudan and Afghanistan has also competed. In fact, there is even specific historical precedent of Native American teams playing lacrosse in the Olympics. Right back in the 1904 Olympics, Canada sponsored a team of Native Americans from the Mohawk tribe, which notably is now part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, to compete in lacrosse. With that year being the first time the sport was included in the Olympics, the Mohawks actually won a bronze medal. So it really feels like they could super easily make this happen. But also with that, it is the IOC that we're talking about. And for all its preaching about peace and brotherhood and honoring cultures, it really doesn't seem like they're going to walk the walk here. But for now, I'll wait to see if they prove me wrong, and we'll just kind of have to keep our fingers crossed that they decide to include the people who literally invented the game. And then, things in Ukraine continue to be an absolute shit show as the war slowly approaches its 2nd anniversary in just a few months. With the biggest fighting being focused on the city of Avdiivka, which is right on the doorstep of the breakaway Donetsk, with Russia reportedly losing thousands of men trying to advance from a little town of 30,000, although I should say formally of 30,000, with now just 1,350 people still living there, as most of the town is a ruin and the home of a growing battle. There are also now reports that Russian troops are advancing from many sides of the town, although notably at the cost of the highest Russian casualty since the war began, according to UK Defense Intelligence. Right, they're now averaging 931 losses per day, which is even higher than the Battle of Bakhmut, which averaged 776 losses per day. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean that Russia's not gaining ground, because they are in the region, but it's at the cost of human lives, and that's definitely been taking its toll, as that's been the strategy since day one, with AP and intelligence officials just releasing intercepted phone calls of Russian soldiers from the front line, with most of these coming from the start of 2023 during the Battle of Bakhmut. But if this was the sentiment back then, it is probably worse now. Right, and some calls are pretty candid about the war, saying things like, no one fucking needs this. This is simply genocide, a fucking genocide. Others also well aware of the fact that Ukraine was getting more and more advanced arms from the West, saying this is just a huge testing ground where the whole world is testing their weapons, fuck it, and sizing up their dicks. That's all. And there were also many calls for people to just dodge the draft, with one man telling his friend, I'm telling you honestly, if there's even a slight chance, get exempted from service. But if the summons comes for mobilization, fuck it to hell. Join Wagner or the contract soldiers or wherever you can. God forbid the mobilized. The mobilization are the lowest. With him then going on to explain that the contract soldiers at least get some days of leave and get to bathe and launder their clothes regularly. But for the regular soldiers, often there's no leave for months on end and no regular way to clean themselves or their clothes. And all in all, there is a sentiment that what would have already been a miserable experience, getting sent to war, is being made so much worse by the way that Russia treats its drafted troops. So Russia isn't just stopping at treating its troops poorly. It's also now moved to weaponize the migrants it has, but not with guns. Instead, it's being accused of funneling them to the Finnish border to attempt them to have Finland take them on. But I mean, before last month, Finland would get less than one asylum seeker a day from the border. But over this last month, there's been 900. And it's actually gotten to a point where Finland has closed every border crossing with Russia except one in the Arctic. And when Russia started using that one, Finland moved to close every border crossing. So now if someone's seeking seeking asylum, they need to use a maritime port or an airport. And unfortunately, the people suffering the most in this exchange are the asylum seekers who are stuck in frozen northern Russia with few resources. And the border is set to remain closed until December 13th. So as this war grinds on, I'm sure that we're going to continue to get developments like this, especially as everyone's dealing with the various ways Russia's trying to strike back at every perceived diplomatic insult. But hey, follow to stay in the loop. And then, the holidays are here, so let the fantastic sponsor of today's show, HelloFresh, help to take the stress out of dinner by delivering everything you need to cook up tasty meals right to your door, saving you tons of time. Because you know, HelloFresh's 15-minute meals are our go-to for quick fixes. These recipes help us get a wholesome meal on the table in less time than it takes to get delivered. And this time of year, we could use all the help we can get. With over 40 recipes to choose from every week, HelloFresh provides in-season ingredients delivered directly to your door, pre-portioned and ready to cook. To make it the most wonderful time of year, also the most delicious. And for us, using HelloFresh is a great way to get our boys involved in the cooking process, which may or may not be connected to my hopes of being able to pawn off the cooking on them as soon as possible. And all of this is so much more than just delicious dinners. HelloFresh can take the hassle out of every mealtime with easy breakfasts, quick lunches, and snacks, all delivered along with your weekly box. And are you maybe hosting this holiday? Don't be afraid to use the HelloFresh market for crowd-pleasing eats, from photo-worthy charcuterie boards to mouth-watering desserts. So go to HelloFresh.com/DeFrancoFree and use code DeFrancoFree for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. Yeah, that's right, free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/DeFrancoFree with code DeFrancoFree and try America's #1 meal kit today. And then, y'all, Amazon has officially conquered UPS and FedEx, beating out bulk and parcel volumes, making it the biggest delivery business in the US. After flying by FedEx in 2020, they managed to deliver more packages last year than UPS. And this year, they are on track to deliver nearly 6 billion packages by the end of the year, where UPS projects only around 5.3 billion. But also, here is a key thing, and what we're going to dive into where it gets really interesting. Amazon's number, that count, it's limited to packages they shipped from beginning to end, right from warehouse to front door. Whereas the UPS and FedEx numbers, those include packages they hand off to the US Postal Service. Which on that note, I mean, the US Postal Service, of course, still has everyone beat by far with the highest volume, handling hundreds of millions of packages from each of the other big three. You know, with everything that we're seeing, it's really wild to think of how recent all of this is. I mean, less than a decade ago, no one really thought Amazon had a prayer of making it this far. I mean, back in 2016, the then CEO of FedEx called the idea fantastical. But we saw in the following years, Amazon building a massive delivery business and now operating dozens of warehouses and managing nearly 280,000 drivers worldwide. However, even though Amazon is handling billions and billions of their own packages every year in bigger cities, they have increasingly relied on the USPS for the last mile deliveries in rural areas. Right? And so what that means is that these local post offices are being absolutely flooded with Amazon boxes and bags. Like with what we've seen in the small Minnesota town of Bemidji, about 100 miles south of the Canadian border, where notably we have seen the local implementation of a deal between the USPS and Amazon to deliver packages along with traditional mail, absolutely leaving their mail service in disarray. I mean, since November, the Bemidji post office has been buried underneath Amazon packages, and local postal workers saying they have orders to deliver those first, which then results in other mail like checks, credit card statements, and health insurance documents getting backed up for days at a time. Which, hey, you know, I love Amazon Prime getting some shit I randomly thought of a day later, but probably less important than someone getting their bills. And so you see things like a local engineer having to worry about getting checks for tens of thousands of dollars from clients on time. Meanwhile, other businesses are worried about their own checks making it to vendors on time, and even just residents are experiencing delays on their time-sensitive bills. But the ones getting hit the hardest are the local mail carriers, the ones actually delivering the packages. Right? Because many carriers in rural areas like Bemidji use their personal vehicles to deliver what used to be a couple dozen small parcels on the paper mail on an 8 or 9 hour route. But now those same routes are taking 10 to 12 hours with trucks jammed so full of packages that some drivers can barely see out of the windows. And this is they're not getting any additional pay, their days off have been canceled, and the office has even banned sick leave for the rest of the year, which is a thing I didn't even know you could legally do. And so in Bemidji, at least 5 carriers have quit so far, and veteran mail carrier Dennis Nelson organizes
quit or get fired.
Post office. Though an important note there, that is not a strike as we know it, and that's because the USPS
that's humanity, I know.
The right to strike over 100 years ago. But still, you had Nelson gathering people outside the post office on a cold morning a couple weeks ago, carrying signs expressing their frustration. And so you have carriers asking Congress to just grant postal workers the right to even strike, with Nelson saying, without the right to strike, our union does not have a dog in the fight. We're considered an essential service. If Amazon is our priority, we don't see how delivering toilet paper and shoes for Amazon makes us an essential service. And here's the important thing. This problem is not limited to just Bemidji or even just Minnesota. When the deal was first negotiated back in 2013, it was only implemented in major cities like Los Angeles and New York City. But according to Nelson, as the implementation spread to smaller towns, local post offices haven't gotten the necessary support, saying they've introduced Amazon packages in quite a few other offices, but they've never put the infrastructure, equipment, or personnel in place to handle the volume. Those other offices lost many carriers, and even years later are still struggling to get the job done. And another picketer in Bemidji is saying, every small city that Amazon hits, it just crushes their mail system. It's too much to put on your workers, and every time this place asks for help, they get denied. Which which does seem to be the case, with the mayor of Bemidji reaching out to local members of Congress who said that their power over the USPS is limited. Now, notably with this, Senator Tina Smith sent a letter to the U.S. Postmaster General regarding the reports that, quote, Amazon is interfering with timely deliveries and stretching the agency's already overburdened workers too thin. And in that, she said, as Postmaster General, you are responsible for ensuring that the Postal Service meets its service standards, and it is clear right now that things are not working as they should. Entering into contracts that your system cannot support is a breach of your responsibilities. But this notably, as a Postal Service spokesperson said that they are unaware of any significant delivery issues in Bemidji. And so now you have the situation where mail carriers are pushing other rural carriers across the country to rally their public around them as they fight against this onslaught. With Nelson saying, we need the public to get behind us on this. We're the face of the post office to the public. We're the ones out in all kinds of weather doing our jobs, the ones the public sees every day. And adding, I am encouraging all rural carriers across the nation to do exactly what we are doing. Let the public, let the people that you serve know exactly what's going on. And with this, for their part, Amazon has responded to the situation, saying that the Postal Service approves their forecasts every week, and adding, we work directly with the USPS to balance our delivery needs with their available capacity. We recognize that, like us, other major retailers, small businesses, and the communities they serve rely on the local USPS to deliver, which is why we'll continue to collaborate on package volume each week and adjust as needed. So obviously, it is one thing for them to say that, and then another thing for that actually to be implemented in a proper way. Because we can talk about company statements and spokespeople, but when the people on the ground actually doing the fucking job are saying, hey, this is crazy, we should probably open our ears, ideally use our mouths, and maybe fuckers in Congress will do something. I mean, other than just find ways to fill their and their friends' wallets. And then let's talk about yesterday today. We take a look back at yesterday's show. We dive into those comments and see what y'all had to say about the news. Starting with the news and debate on is Disney dying? And there, y'all saying things like, the problem I have with Disney is that they are just not bringing in quality movies. Why would I go see a Disney film I know will be mediocre over an actually interesting film that's experimenting? A good example is why watch Wish when this year and last year have brought about some of the best animated movies that are evolving the genre. And with that, people responding, it's the trailers. Elemental was actually really good, but the trailers made it seem like a Romeo and Juliet knockoff. And saying Wish's trailers make it look like crap too. Which I will say about Elemental, they did advertise that movie weird. Like I remember one trailer focusing on a character that is kind of a throwaway character. So I am glad I ended up bringing the kids to watch it, but it really was because I was like, I gotta do something with the boys today and I don't know what. You also had others arguing, from my perspective, the issue with Disney seems to be one or both of the following. One, a lack of effective advertising and marketing, as I had literally no clue about any of the movies mentioned, at least one of which I would have been interested in seeing, and I am chronically online. Or two, they are pushing out too many movies too fast and not putting enough time and effort into each one to make sure it will be good and successful.
Quantity over quality.
Add to that and say, I wonder how movies like the Marvels, for example, how much that was impacted by the actors' strike. Right? Because the actors weren't able to promote that movie until practically the day it came out, so there was just nothing in the lead up to it. Though also, right, that's conjecture. Like, we have no idea if it would have done just as bad, good, whatever. Because I will say, I ended up watching it in theaters and I was like, oh, actually, this is a pretty good movie. But I definitely will say, with Marvel stuff, it's become more of a pick and choose thing rather than I have to watch everything. And for me personally, I think that's because some of the series have really fell flat. Though I am not including Loki in that, both seasons of Loki, I had a lot of fun. And then I will say, the other thing that got a lot of attention and conversation in the comments, and I was happy to see that, was the Apple story, which I will say, I found fucking fascinating. I was like, I really wish this could have been the lead story, but Apple's, you know, not the most sexy story, but it was so fascinating. And it left some of y'all leaving comments like, the Apple story made me teary-eyed. Growing up with food insecurity and working as an adult with the unhoused community, I cannot tell you how groundbreaking I want this surplus initiative to be for the sake of kids like I was and their families. As well as a food insecure family in West Virginia, we have absolutely been benefiting from the apple abundance at our local food banks. I didn't understand why it was happening until now, but I was so grateful to get bushels of apples every single week. Our household includes a pregnant person who has been craving apples like crazy, and our dog absolutely loves the homemade Kongs that we've been able to make from a cord apple and all natural peanut butter. And this blessing has been so much healthier than some of the other foods that we can afford. Not to mention that it's a quick and easy snack when you're too exhausted from working all day to even try to cook some. To which I will say my favorite response to that comment, cause dad jokes. Wow, with so many apples, there can't be a doctor within miles from where you live. I hate that made me laugh. But I will say in general with the comments, it was so fascinating to see how many people are actually being impacted by a story that we just covered. And hopefully, you know, we can provide a bigger and bigger spotlight on all the good that's provided and we see more of it in the future. 'Cause I mean, it is so atrocious that we can have people that are, you know, so food insecure and at the same time have so much food waste. It is a math problem that currently makes no sense and we should try to remedy that. But that is where your daily dive into the news is going to end. Now, as promised, for your secret video of the day, I got you covered right here. You can click or tap to watch that, or I got a link in the description. But of course, with that said, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow to break down more news.
Today there were a handful of moments that went viral on Twitter.
Thank you,
from the
Philip DeFranco, for the excellent content from a stream. Thank you, Penguin Zero, for the excellent content from a stream. I like the subject channel, Moist Critical.
Going. And I really want to talk about them. I need to make it clear right away. I know next to nothing about the Young Thug trial. I don't know what the particulars of the case are, what he's being accused of, what he's potentially facing. I don't really have a clue, but you don't need to know the lore behind why the trial is happening to understand why these moments are so wacky. I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you what I believe is potentially one of the biggest head-scratcher moments the American justice system has ever heard.
Regardless is less than 1% of this whole indictment. This reminds me of this anime named Bleach, where it's 16 seasons. Every episode is about 18, 20 episodes. Sorry, every season is 18 to 20 episodes. And they have season 4 and 5. They have these bouts. They're villains of the whole thing.
I can't believe you're referencing Bleach in this court trial. Fucking clown.
I'm not trying to jump.
Fucking clown. Why are you using Bleach references in a court of law? Fucking clown.
Scare you here, nor am I trying
clown
to
shoes. Clown shoes. I'm sorry, but some decorum must be observed. Otherwise, we look like fucking clowns ourselves, and that's not what I want. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my court to look like a kangaroo clown court talking about Bleach or whatever the fuck. What?
About the Bount arc from Bleach, but I think it's important because I imagine most of you haven't seen what she's referring to, and God bless you, keep it that way. The Bount arc in Bleach is regarded by many, myself included, as one of the worst arcs in all of anime. It's basically about vampires that get introduced out of nowhere and then leave out of nowhere, never to be addressed again. It is a garbage filler arc that serves only to waste your time and insult your intelligence. It is truly trash. And I'm one of those poor souls that endured the torture of watching it. I didn't know the Bount arc was filler, so I subjected myself to that almost never-ending nightmare. So when she brought up the Bount arc here, it was like an old wound reopening and then having salt poured in it. Like I had a repressed memory come forefront and then like post-traumatic stress disorder as a result, because she brought up the Bount arc in this fucking trial for some reason. Now, she is representing someone else who was involved in this case. His name is Rodalius Ryan, and the way she's trying to weave in the anime reference with the point she's trying to make is interesting.
You go to season 6, you don't hear about the bounce. You go to season 7, you don't hear about the bounce. Why don't you hear about these important characters? Because they're filler characters. It's a filler season. Me and Rodalius, we're fillers. We're not integral to the story. They just drag him out of prison to jail to make this bigger than it has to be. We're basically distractions. So, as a juror, what can you do to tell the state, we're not going to be distracted. We don't need to listen to filler. You come back at the end of this with a not guilty for Rodalius Ryan. You tell them we do not want to waste our time on fillers. We just want to get to substance.
She's good.
So I guess...
But the Bleach reference was a clown shoes. Fucking clown shoes. The jury isn't going to know what the fuck you're talking about unless they're fucking weird weeb nerds too. And it's just, it was a, you know what I want to hear out of a fucking prosecutor? I'm sorry, but it was clown shoes. She had to dream up some anime as a fucking example, but a good prosecutor would have cited cases, casework, codes, previous precedents. Good prosecutor isn't talking about Bleach to come up with some fucking Chewbacca defense bullshit. I suppose they are. Because if you fucking throw a smoke bomb in the jury like that, I suppose it works. But I mean, like, really, I'd rather you cited cases, which is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to talk about Bleach and the timing of the episodes or whatever the fuck. You're supposed to cite penal law, codes, and other cases to back up what it is you're going to say. That's what I want to hear from a real lawyer. She seems clown shoes to me. It's the clownification of America's sacred fucking institutions. It's the Trumpers, it's the idiots, it's the do-nothing Congress, these foul prosecutors who cite bleach instead of casework. It's just like, what happened to America?
Enjoy the show, get some popcorn, because this is not justice, this is a circus. Thank you.
I find that closing remark, this isn't justice, this is a circus,
is very...
It's even harder since it follows an entire speech about anime in a
legal
setting.
In a legal setting. I'm sorry, but it's inappropriate. That's the word for it, too. Inappropriate, babe. And I'm sorry, but inappropriate.
Isn't wrong. This is set the dial from serious all the way to silly. We have cranked that shit up now.
Yeah, it's silly.
We're talking anime.
Yeah, we're talking about anime in a court of fucking law. Fucking clown shoes. That's the word for it. It's clown shoes. I can see you waddling around like Sideshow Bob when he shrunk himself down, you know, to make the kids laugh. It's fucking clown shoes. You have like long fucking 18-inch clown shoes and you waddle around in them while you talk about bleach in a court of law. Okay, you know who they pull for juries? It's usually old people, frankly. They don't want to take young professionals. They don't want to take people like women who are pregnant. They don't want to take young people because they're going to battle it and hate it and fight it more, jack off and give a bad outcome, you know. And so they tend to take old people. The old people aren't going to know your fucking Bleach reference. And frankly, I've watched a lot of fucking anime, including Bleach, and I didn't even know your fucking reference. I didn't watch Bleach to season 5. And I watched a lot more anime than your average person and probably in a courtroom anyways. So I'm just saying, your fucking shit flew over my head even. And I've seen probably 50, 60 animes all the way through to completion. And it flew over, your bullshit reference flew over my fucking head, not much less that jury. What the fuck was that, you clown shoes joke? How the fuck did you pass the bar? Seems like you might have been watching too much Bleach, too. How the fuck did you pass the bar?
This is how I imagine a Discord trial might go.
Yeah, this is like a Discord trial. and she's like, oh, no, you didn't, and kind of shit like that. It sounds like a Discord trial to me. It's a kangaroo court. She turned it into a kangaroo court. The judge would have, honestly, I kind of expected a reprimand from the judge there. Please stay on target, prosecutor, or counselor. Stay on target, counselor, you know. I gave kind of a like maybe not a firm warning, but stay on target, please, counselor. You know, I think the judge should have stepped in. The judge is also letting the court become a joke. That was a joke. I don't like seeing my courts turn into jokes.
Presiding over a case, slamming the gavel. Order.
Yeah, where's the order at?
Interesting.
It's a rubber mallet.
That time in Naruto when Rock Lee took off those training weights against.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? What? This is that shit. It's inappropriate. You guys just don't have a filter anymore. You're all gas, no brakes, like Andrew Callahan does. You're like Andrew fucking Callahan. I'm sorry, but it's all gas, no brakes, this bullshit. She's on all gas, no brakes, pulling out the Bleach reference in a fucking court of law like it has some place there. I want to hear court references and casework and precedents. I don't want to hear fucking about Naruto or fucking Bleach in a court of law. That's a kangaroo court of law if you're hearing that in the court of law. I'm sorry. Some decorum must be observed. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's disgusting what some of these idiots are doing to the culture. I'm sorry.
Am I right? Isn't that right, jury?
Okay, there was this time in my life where I felt very proud that I was an anime fan. I don't feel that anymore. I actually kind of feel like what white culture has done to anime makes me feel shame that I watched so much of it, because now I feel like after Neon Genesis, Fooly Cooly, and Trigun, I don't think I needed any more animes than that. I can't think of another one. Maybe all of Miyazaki's films, like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke. And I love anime. I've seen many other series than that I really love. But there was only 3 of them that I'd be very sad if I didn't have anymore. I frankly kind of regret doing the whole anime thing. After watching what white culture did to beloved Japanese culture, I feel a bit of shame engaging in it myself. But I mean, I guess it was kind of spoon-fed to me. Like, okay, I won't say this, but I won't say what it is. But I have a fetish that would disgust most women. But not in a way where they wouldn't sleep with me or something like that, or even judge me. None of them ever did judge me on it. But none of them ever shared it or any of that. And I'm not going to say what the fuck it is, but everyone's got their weird fetish and stuff. My shit isn't illegal or weird and wouldn't ever end me up in a court of law or any of that. It's not a weird fetish that's disgusting. It's common. You'll see it on the front page of like straight Pornhub or whatever. And it surprises women when I tell them what it is, but they're not disgusted by it. They're like, okay, that's weird, but eh. And I don't demand it from them, and I've never engaged in it with them or anything. And where I'm going at with this is like, that fetish, I didn't come by it naturally. I ended up getting it because it was in a porn magazine when I was like 14. And in a penthouse, and you can get an idea of how safe my fetish actually is. It was in a penthouse magazine, you know, where like the kind of fetish that anybody in the world could have, kind of. It is fucked up, and so because of that magazine, I easily could have skipped that magazine, and I never would have had this fetish. I just never would have had it. And I feel like that same thing. I feel this same way now with anime. I could easily have. I could easily say after like Neon and Trigun and even Trigun I could do without. Like Neon and Fooly Cooly mainly, and I'd be okay with like, and even those I think I'd be okay with not having. There's some movies I would still really want. Like I think Akira, it was very formative for me. And there's another one, the Ghost in Shell standalone complex was very important to me for different reasons. And I like anime and I wish to support it and I think it's good culture, but I don't like what my people did to the culture. And now you hear prosecutors referencing bleach filler as a strategy, as a Chewbacca defense thing. And you got to kind of wonder if what we did to the culture is good. Now, I'm sure the Japanese love it. I'm sure they love it that they're big in America. And they probably have no shame, no regret. But I dislike what my culture did with it, what the boomer, fucking weird, hentai, obsessed culture did with it. And I see it reflect poorly upon my people, and it's not like it makes you a dishonorable person to like this stuff or whatever, or even like that you have bad taste. I'm saying the fervor for it and what it did to our culture was maybe a bit obsessive, a little bit like Beatlemania. It maybe wasn't so good, you know? This obsession. Especially the hentai shit.
It has taken anime and put it in a setting where it should.
I'll be right back, guys. Gotta pee.
Spot that deals with
so I'm here to see the Enchanter.
Your client, and you're using anime in your opening statements here. I think is probably the
clown shoes. Clown shoes.
Not the strongest opening. Based on how she sums up her opening statements, it seems like the point she's trying to get across is that her client is not important in the overall case, thus their presence is only there to serve as a distraction or inflating everything. Thus, you know, it's filler, like bleach bound art.
Just
now, for the next clip I'd like to show you, you're gonna have to really open up your ears here because the audio on it is some dog ass. It's pretty bad. For some reason, quite a few times throughout the trial, the audio would just get really fucked up.
But to Jeffrey, thug had a different meaning. Now, some of you read books.
Some of you read books. What happened to America?
Thug life, the hate you give little infants, F's, everyone. Meaning discrimination and racism hurts all of us. We teach that to our kids.
Yep.
Now this is Young Thug's lawyer, and right now.
Oh, that's Young Thug's lawyer. Wow.
Get into the kitchen.
So it was a DA. She was a DA. It's disgusting. Don't disbar her. But it was clown shoes. It was conduct not becoming of an officer of the court. I think the judge should have reprimanded her. Stay on target, counselor. That's all you have to say. Because that shit's off target. It is. It doesn't fit the scope of the trial. It's a Chewbacca defense in a way. It's very polarizing and weird, and it skews the trial a bit. And I would have been fairly unhappy as a judge if she had had the fucking audacity to do that in my court. Sometimes I think if I when my parents pass, I can finally live the lifestyle that I want to live with no judgment. I can do my drugs or whatever the fuck, or whatever. And one of the things I thought about doing was passing the bar with an eye towards spending my elderly years as a judge. And I think I would be a fairly good judge.
He's following, well, it's got some interesting flavor to it, to say the least, with the direction that this dish ends up going.
That was not what Thug meant to Jeffrey. Thug meant and means to Jeffrey something very personal. It was his path that he could ever make it.
Here we go.
And help his family, himself, and as many others out of this endless cycle of hopelessness. He would be truly humble under God. That's what Thug means.
I tried my best to edit out the long pauses he takes. I don't know if he's like a classically trained actor or something, or he's auditioning for a thespian troupe. I don't really know. But he takes these like long, really dramatic pauses mid-sentence, and it just dragged everything so long. My theory is that the reason he keeps pausing and stopping for a little bit is because he's stalling for time so he can continue to come up with something in his noodle up here, and he eventually comes up with a banger. He ties it into, this is not what Thug actually means to Jeffrey, Jeffrey being Young Thug's real name.
There we
He
go.
then says the Thug stands for truly humbled under God. When I heard him say that, I did one of these. I actually just shot back. I was like, wow.
Yeah, like he's getting this from Guru, the lead singer of Gangstar, who is a respected rapper, and I love Guru. Really, really wonderful man. And Guru's name is Guru because it means God is universal. He is the ruler universal, and that's where he got his name from, and that's why they do this shit. Is because of Guru from Gangstar. When Guru did it, it was original. You know what I'm saying? Not anymore.
Did it. He pulled off a miracle. Like, I could imagine, like, the jury standing up and clapping, like, man, that was so moving, wiping tears from their eyes. Truly humbled under God. Now it all makes sense. Like, it's such an incredible Hail Mary play from the lawyer here. Obviously, this is a bunch of fish paste. That is... The Thug in Young Thug doesn't stand for anything. It's not an abbreviation. That wouldn't make any sense. Let's just play ball with this idea here, this fantasy that it stands for truly humbled under God. That would mean his name would be Young Truly Humbled Under God. That would be his artist name. That is nonsensical. But it was a really interesting tactic here, a very odd strategy that I couldn't help but appreciate. Like, I found it impressive. To go to this level of, like, on-the-spot thinking to try and just pull something out of your ass is admirable. I unironically love that strategy. I think it's just a banger. It makes me want to give it a try. Like, the moist on my shirt, it stands for Mopey Outlook is super terrible. And it's all about having a mopey attitude is a bad thing, and we gotta turn that frown upside down.
Yes! I love it. I really like this. It's good. I liked it.
Out a positive outlook, baby. And actually, that's a perfect segue into another thing Young Thug's lawyer tried to pull off in the trial today. It's another very incredible strategy.
And the indictment that the prosecution had the grand jury return says he's holding up a blood sign, and that furthers this conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with holding up a blood sign, but
yes, there is.
That's not a blood sign. A blood sign's like this. It looks like a B. That is a P. Jeffrey's fingers
or whatever it is. I forgot. Somebody taught it to me one time. It's like,
yeah. Jeffrey just released with Sergio Kitchens, formerly known as Gunna, a song that is wildly popular. It's around the globe. It's called Pushing P. And it's positivity. It means any circumstance you're in, if you think positively about something, you can make it through. You're pushing positivity. You're pushing P. Jeffrey is showing the P.
If ever there was a time for a standing ovation in court, it would be right then. This guy, in front of all of humanity and God, went out there and said, actually, what you're looking at is a P with his hands, and it references pushing P, which stands
positivity.
For pushing positivity. That is so good. That is so fun. What a fucking W. Like, I'm sure most of you remember pushing P from like a year or so ago. I never fully understood exactly what it meant. I believe like the main usage was pushing P references like pursuing success while still maintaining integrity, like being loyal to the people that you care about, that you're close with, like your friends, like never forgetting where you came from while pursuing success. Which, I guess in a way, you could argue that pushing P is pushing positivity, I suppose, though I don't think the P ever stood for positivity, ever. But from this point forward, if I ever see pushing P again, that's immediately where my head's going. From now on, if I see pushing P, I'll be like, oh, pushing positivity, I get it. All because of this lawyer. I don't